Mixed markets Tuesday with tech the only game today, pulling the NASDAQ higher. All this coming as Fed policymakers meet. Well, let's get a preview of what we might hear tomorrow from Jeff Tomasulo. He's president of Vespula Capital and founder of tacticalincome.com. Good afternoon. Welcome back, Jeff. So we have the NASDAQ correction seem to be short. S&P hasn't gone through one. The valuations, well, it's 30 times earnings or 22 times forward earnings. Do we need, is a correction coming for the S&P? Do investors need one?
You know, I think obviously I would love to have one in the S&P and the Dow, right? The Russell 2000, they've all outperformed. Any type of investor, you know, it's hard for me to, you know, say to people, hey, go out and buy stocks right now, just because based on what you just said. However, there are certain sectors that, you know, I would love to have a pullback, and even the S&P. I mean, it would be nice to have a 10, 15% correction to give you the opportunities. But, you know, Fred, when you think about it, you brought up the Federal Reserve, is that we are still in the United States, we have extremely low interest rates, which has been one of the topics over the last month that brought down the correction in the NASDAQ, right? We had a nice correction in the NASDAQ because of interest rates and rising interest rates. We've talked about this before on this show, is that my biggest fear was interest rates not rising, but the velocity of the rise. And it happened extremely quick, caught a lot of people off guard. And that's where you saw this great rotation out of growth stocks, out of the tech stocks, and into Dow stocks, into the reopening trade stocks that have been on an absolute tear over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But when you look at the rest of the world, it's like, where do you put your money? And I think by having interest rates as low as they are, and especially in the United States, you are still going to have people that are going to be putting money to work in stocks, even though you and I both know that this
you're
is
all for
a
the
little
inflation trade, the reopening trade, but just wait
bring.
for the pullback to buy those because they're too high now?
Right. And that's the thing. If you think about it, right, stocks are forward looking, right? And what I want to see is a couple of quarters. I want to start to see Carnival Cruise Line, American Airlines, Delta, United, Marriott, even Boeing has been on a tremendous run, because investors know in a year from now, 2 years from now, these stocks should, right, if everything goes properly in this reopening of our economy, benefit from it. But that's why you see here a lot of the talk about this inflation, right? You hear the Fed. When you ask me what's going to come out of the Fed tomorrow, they're predicting inflation on the short term, but then it's going to level out as time passes by, which you would hope would happen. You know, and that's why what we're going to hear. I don't think we're going to see much change, but that's what you're going to hear in the theme, and you're going to hear that a lot going
Jerome Powell
forward
say
over
something
the
about
next
interest
6
rates or
months to a
bond
year.
buying?
I don't know if you're going to hear that from him. I think he's going to try to keep it measured right now. And one of the things, and I think that's one of the reasons why the NASDAQ had such a deep sell-off, because when you started to see interest rates kind of rise, people were expecting him to change his course. But he's been pretty prudent on staying the course. And I don't think we're going to see much of a change out of that, because over the last few days, we've seen some stabilization in interest rates. Now, if interest rates went up to, you know, on the 10-year, we saw $1.75, you know, maybe $2, maybe you would have heard some of the language start to change. But right now, I think they're going to stay put.
Inflation trade or reopening, which sectors in particular
I think
are you
what's going to happen
on pullbacks?
Well, listen, I think there's such a pent up demand for people to travel, right? They want to travel. You have this younger generation, you know, from the 20-year-olds to the 30-year-olds. You have a lot of people that just got or are getting stimulus checks. What are they going to do with that stimulus check when they reopen? They're going to use that money to either travel and to buy things. And I think a lot of people are going to want to travel. And even it was something interesting, Fred, that I saw this week. And I went into a diner with my kids, and I walked in, and the diner was packed. But who were they packed with? They were packed with people 65 and above. It was amazing, because this is what they want to do. They want to go out. They want to experience life again, especially the older generation, the baby boomers. They're going to go and they're going to travel a ton. And who's going to benefit from that? the cruise lines, the airlines, the hotels. I want to focus
But as you
on
put it,
that
wait for the
because that's
pullback.
where they're going to
Thanks,
get the
Ledge.
boost over the
All
next
right.
3-4 quarters.
Our thanks to Jeff Tomasulo of Vespula
Exactly.
Capital. I'm Fred Katayama in New York. This is Reuters.